it is truly an honor to be a part of this great celebration of the World Union for Progressive Judaism, and it is a privilege to offer words of tribute to our most deserving honorees, Peter and Joan Weidhorn. But before I do, I'd like to take this opportunity to congratulate my cherished colleague, Erwin Zeplowitz, who is a rabbi of uncommon depth. Just a few months back, I was visiting the Greater Toronto area, and I spent Shabbat morning at the oldest Reformed congregation in Canada, Temple Anshe Shalom. Before coming to Port Washington, as you know, Rabbi Zeplowitz served that congregation with all of his heart. During my visit, I was trying to tell them all about the Union for Reformed Judaism, but they wanted to tell me more about Erwin Zeplowitz. Well, what they told me is that you, Erwin and Anne, left indelible soul prints on each of them and on the congregation as a whole. And now Community Synagogue is daily blessed by your remarkable rabbinic leadership. And whenever we assess the strength of our reform movement, enormous credit must go to Al Vorspan for his prophetic voice and tireless work in shaping our purpose-driven Union for Reformed Judaism as a force for good and justice in the world. Al possesses the conscience of an Isaiah, the backbone of a David Ben-Gurion, and the humor of Mel Brooks. And in Shirley, he married the perfect life partner, a woman who is a blend of Queen Vashti and Queen Esther. Peter and Joan, we are here tonight to honor the two of you because of your extraordinary leadership. First, in your home community in New Jersey. Of course, that is the wonderful place where it all began. But then throughout our union, and verily throughout this great world union, in a world filled with too many people who have mastered the art of taking, the two of you cannot find enough ways to give to others. You give freely of your time, your ideas, your love, and your material resources to strengthen our communities near and far. This morning in congregations throughout our URJ and World Union and beyond, we concluded our reading of the book of Exodus. We learned that our ancestors were builders of much more than buildings. They built sacred community and holiness wherever they sojourned. With their hands and hearts joined together, our ancestors built their ancient praying place piece by piece. But it didn't just come together on its own. No, it took exceptionally gifted leaders whose names were Bitzalel and Oholiav in the Torah to bring out the best in everyone as they worked to build their present and their future. Peter and Joan, like Bitzalel and Oholiav, you have spent decades building this great reform movement that we are all proud to be a part of. Peter and Joan, everyone who knows you knows that how unbelievably passionate you are when it comes to young people, when it comes to engaging the next generation in Jewish life. That is where your greatest passion and drive reside. Of course, you adore your own children and grandchildren, but because of your holy work, all of our children and all of our grandchildren have been given opportunities for Jewish enrichment and engagement. Peter, you were the inspiration to bring together the URJ camps into the NAC, our network of North American URJ camps. Before you came along, we had a collection of great camps, but you saw more possibility. You saw the possibility of increasing our impact and increasing the excellence of the whole reform camping system. Together with Joan, you contributed $1 million for camp scholarships. Why? So that more of our young people could be touched by the magic of a summer camp experience. If you had only created the NAC Dayenu, it would have been enough. But there's so much more. And speaking of building projects, Peter, you were the URJ leader to oversee the sale of our iconic home at 838 Fifth Avenue. You saw a strategic opportunity, and you, as you always do, made sure that we would seize that opportunity. And yes, you rose up through the ranks of the URJ leadership, serving our union with vigor and vision at all levels. A story. A few months after I was called to serve as the next URJ president, but before I formally began my responsibilities, Peter called me up to go on a trip south to meet with a very generous donor who Peter had been cultivating for a major camp donation. Well, our flights were late and we were hustling to get to the meeting on time. The driving instructions were leading us literally nowhere. We were hopelessly lost. And as properly trained Jewish men, there was no way that we would stop and ask for directions. But have no fear, Peter Weidhorn reached into his briefcase and pulled out his own GPS. He plugged in our coordinates, and in seconds, we were heading in the right direction. I believe that moment in the car was emblematic of Peter's leadership. Peter is always prepared, smart, and decisive. He has what might be termed an internal JUPS. He has an uncanny ability to stay on track, not only finding his way, but taking all of us with him as we journey forth. Peter also has what in Yiddish we call Spilkes. Spilkes is that inability to sit still, to always keep moving. Our movement has been the beneficiary of that restlessness. Even after concluding his term as chairman of the URJ during one of the most challenging periods in the life of our union, Peter remains energized and focused on building the Reformed Jewish future we so desperately need. Peter, your restless energy, your deep yearning for a stronger, more effective URJ and World Union and Reform movement around the world is admired by all of your colleagues and all of your partners in leadership. Peter and Joan, I know everyone here tonight joins me in paying tribute to you both for all that you have done, for all that you have inspired. We pray that the Holy One will watch over the generations of your beloved family, and that the impact of your sacred labors will continue to be felt by generations of our people. In the last verses of Exodus, as the work of the tabernacle is finished, we learn that God's presence fills their radiant creation. But why? What was it about this modest prayer tent? Why did God bless this tent by dwelling in it? It wasn't the most beautiful. It certainly wasn't the biggest. It was not the fanciest. The medieval commentator Sforno said it best: the amount of wealth and the size of the building do not determine whether the divine presence will rest within it. Rather, it depends on the souls and actions of the people within those holy communities. Peter and Joan, when holy work is done with selfless and generous hearts and creative, visionary minds, the Holy One can't stay away. And that is why God's blessing rests upon you both. Peter and Joan, thank you from the bottom of all of our hearts for all you have done, for all that you continue to do. And tonight, in this gathering of the World Union for Progressive Judaism, you move us to think not just locally, not just across North America, but literally to think and act globally for the good of our movement, for the good of our people. May your dedication and commitment to reform Judaism throughout North America, in Israel, and around the globe never stop inspiring all of us and so many more to build a worldwide network of holiness, youth engagement, innovation, inclusiveness, passion, commitment, and hope that we call our reform movement. And just as the Holy One's presence filled the ancient tabernacle, may the Nameless One continue to fill your lives with never-ending blessings. Amen. International Humanitarian Award presented to Joan and Peter Weidhorn in recognition of your outstanding contributions to the progressive Jewish community, given with love, given with appreciation. Mazal Tov.
The pictures have to come first. What do you say to that? Wow. Rabbi Jacobs, as always, your words are special and speak not only of our commitment to reform Judaism and the World Union, but to your policy initiatives, which will shape our youth, our involvement with Israel, and the reaches of the World Union. And a special thank you to Rabbi Jacobs for the tribute to Joan and me, and those wonderful, kind words. They were over the top, which I hope our children sitting up front tonight will remember each time they are frustrated with their parents. We're really not all that bad. Honestly, our children, Ira and Robin, Elise and Scott, appreciate the time and effort we have committed to reform Judaism and are continuing in our path by being engaged in their congregations and community. Joan and I are very proud of them and their commitment to family and their Jewish roots. Al and Shirley, we applaud you for having tirelessly stood for social justice, the rights of the minorities, women, and the oppressed, and for leading our movement and the World Union in bringing these issues to the forefront. Al and Shirley, you richly deserve this honor, and I applaud you, and Joan, applaud you for that. And to Erwin and Ann, who have set the example of how a congregation should grasp its responsibility to Israel and progressive Jewish communities throughout the world. And with the understanding and commitment to the programs of the World Union, this honor is also richly deserved, and we applaud you also. Thank you. Which raises the question, why Peter and Joan Weidhorn are standing here this evening. Yes, we have been engaged in many capacities with the efforts of the World Union and have visited congregations in the former Soviet Union, in Eastern Europe, South America, and Israel. But more importantly, we value and support the programs and commitment of the World Union to youth and camping programs, and to Israel and Jewish communities throughout the world. As an officer of the Union, I recognized and championed the relationship of the North American community worldwide. I'm, however, disappointed that most congregations and congregational leadership don't necessarily appreciate this important relationship and believe that the reform movement revolves around their congregation, when in fact the congregations revolve around the movement. Thus, tonight, Joan and I challenge all the affiliates of the Union, to work comprehensively in engaging and educating congregational leadership in the purposes and values and obligations of membership in the Union, the World Union, and ARTSR, and to gain an appreciation for how the college, the CCAR, and ACC form the nucleus of our movement. Folks, if we don't engage the membership of our congregations in this learning exercise, our role and significance will diminish. We are strong today and on the cusp of being stronger. Our challenge to you tonight is to continue to engage and educate. We are greatly honored that our Rabbi Emeritus, our dear friends and colleagues from the URJ are here with us tonight. And there are so many of you that I would like to call out and acknowledge. But you represent our family, and we give you a big thank you for being here and acknowledging our work. And I want to especially acknowledge our children and my wife, and I know my wife wants to acknowledge my efforts also, that without the support of this family, without our children, and Joan and I together, we wouldn't have accomplished all that we've been able to accomplish. So we thank you from our heart. I don't know if you want to say thank you or not, but Joan and I are honored. Joan and I are honored to be the World Union Humanitarian Award recipient, and will continue to work alongside our children and at each one of the affiliates of the Union for Reform Judaism and extending the reach of our movement, and we sincerely thank you.